What sort of world do we live in? Part 2. In part 1 we looked into taxes and the government sell, whose interests the governments really have in their sights, or the politicians. Now let's have a look into democracy. Is it really a democracy, what we're told we have? Can we just vote anyone in? No. It has to come from either a left or a right party, it seems. That's the only way to get to leadership. Is out of two parties, so we can't just vote anyone in. We have to vote in one of two members put forward to us. So we've got two choices to pick one. So it's 50-50. So we can't vote anyone in to start with. All these other parties are just to fill seats in the lower house. They can't really become Prime Minister, at least not at the next election. It would take years. And the Liberal Party and the Labor Party have both banded together and agreed on one thing, which is that they should make it harder for every other party to get any sort of standing or hold in Parliament. It's not democratic at all. The way the Liberal Party think, the way the Labor Party think, neither of them think democratically. Neither of them. We've all heard the stories of this Polly lied about that and that Polly lied about that. It's rife. And till now we're so numb to it. It doesn't even bother us when they just lie through their teeth to us. We expect it from them now. How do we let this happen? Why do we let this go on? These are the people that are ruling us, controlling us, telling us what we can and can't do and when we're allowed to do it. And if they want us to jump, they tell us how high and we have to abide. And they just lie to us and we let them get away with it. John Howard said he'd never bring in a GST. What did he do? Brought in a GST. The Australian people voted in Kevin Rudd. They voted him in. Supposed to be majority rules. Voted him in. He didn't suit the powers that be, so what did they do? They changed him. Put someone else in who suited their scams better. Is that a democracy? Is that majority rules? When a handful of people decide who should be leader of the country? And are they really leader then if they can just be changed by a handful of people in the shadows? Power brokers of the party or whatever they call them. Is that majority rules? Is it a democracy as you thought it was? Or is it what it should be? Is this in the interests of the people? Doesn't really sound like it. If you look into American, they've got the Democratic and the Republican Party. Very similar logos. When you look back earlier, they used to be the one party, the Democratic-Republican Party. And they realised early on, well, it's a two-party system. What if we just split in half? Then we have to win. The same party. Just pretending to be two different parties. Do you think they care who wins when they're both the same party? Both have the same power brokers behind them? Whoever's making decisions in the shadows in the Republican Party is the same one in the shadows in the Democratic Party. Do they care who wins? No. Is it democratic? No. Is it majority rules? No. It's all for a select few standing in the shadows. It's crazy. We've been blind to this and just let them do this. So does it even matter here? Who's to say in Australia the same power brokers in the shadows aren't behind both parties? They make laws to make them... They both agree on laws to make themselves stronger. Oh, sure, in the media they bicker backward and forward at one another. That's just all a show for us. Behind the scenes they agree. They've both got the same agendas. If Labor puts something forward and the Liberals will go against it, and after an election, the Liberals will do it. They've got the same agenda as Labor and vice versa. Just pretending to be left and right. Think to give us the thought that we can make a difference. We can vote in who we want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we vote in. The people deciding or making all these decisions, whatever they want's going to happen, doesn't matter who we vote in. Those people put forward two candidates that are under their control, and we've got to choose one of them. Like, what do we choose? The lesser of two evils? Choose none of it. Stand up. They would be nothing without us holding them up with taxes, and, having no slaves to do their bidding. They might even have to get their hands dirty and do a bit of work for a change rather than just scamming and scheming people out of money. Where do they spend this money? And resources of our police force. A large percentage is on traffic infringements. And some of these activities aren't even constitutional. At a random breath test, police wait there, pull over random cars, and you have to prove your innocence before they let you go. Is that innocent till proven guilty, like we're told? Or is that guilty until proven innocent? Because to me, that's the definition of guilty till proven innocent. Just pull over everyone and they all have to prove their innocence before they go. This is against the Constitution. Why, when, we've got so much robbery, home invasion, car theft, rape, murder, why does such a large percentage of the police force just police traffic infringements? Why is this? It's control of the everyday people. If you think, the road, they're doing a great job, the road toll's too high and this is what we have to do, have a look at some numbers. Road accident data shows that there were 1,187 motor vehicle deaths in 2013. That's motor vehicle deaths. That could have been suicide in a motor vehicle, but they're still adding up to those numbers. If you look at just the suicide deaths in 2013, there were 2,522, twice that number. How much of our money and resources do we spend on trying to make people happy? And how much of our money and resources are spent trying to control us and police us? I mean, sure, traffic infringement is a revenue maker. It is, there's no doubt about it. But when we have speed cameras, fixed speed cameras, that aren't even in black spots on the road, where we've got speed cameras where no one's died there before. There's only been a handful of accidents here, but because they're known to speed down there, we put a speed camera on there. That to me would rather show that the speed limit could be lifted on that street. There's been no accidents. But instead we put a speed camera on there and it'll make them $30-40 million a year, that one speed camera. Why then do we need all our resources also in police force and other RTA mobile speed cameras around now? Why do we have all this just set up to catch a speeding? Just sitting there waiting for you to speed, like to speed in your car, or not put your blinker on, that's the worst possible thing a person could do. Well, that's not true. We know that there's murder going on, rape going on. Why aren't these police looking into them? There's no revenue in that. It's only a handful of people doing really terrible things. They don't want that. They want to control the masses and get innocent people that, didn't pay attention to the speedo for a minute, went over the speed limit by 5-10 k's an hour. Yep, slinging a couple of hundred. This is ridiculous. This is not for the people whatsoever. If it was for the people, all those resources would be spent on suicide. Suicide is a preventable death. If we just made people happy, but the government doesn't want to make people happy. Road accidents are accidents. It's not someone purposely, it's not a purposeful death. It's an accident, human error, we're going to have them. We'll never get rid of them completely, until, well, I don't think ever. But suicide is preventable. We can get rid of them. It's deliberate, and it's through the unhappiness of people. This should be a sign to the government that people are unhappy under their rule. And that's just the way it works. The government isn't out for people whatsoever. Nothing to do with the people. It's all to do with control